Candace Owens just lit a fire that Donald Trump cannot easily put out. For years, Trump has commanded loyalty from his MAGA base, moving them like pieces on a chessboard, convinced that no matter what he said, they would follow. But this time, something cracked. When Candace Owens openly challenged him, calling out his reluctance to fully unseal Jeffrey Epstein's files, it wasn't just about Epstein. It was about control. It was about trust. And it was about whether Trump, the man who built his brand on being fearless, is suddenly afraid of something being revealed. Today, we ask the hard question, what exactly is Donald Trump hiding? Let's start with the moment everything changed. Last week, under pressure, Trump begrudgingly ordered Pam Bondi to move a judge to unseal the grand jury testimonies related to Epstein. On the surface, that sounds like a win for transparency, but Candace Owens was quick to point out what most people missed. Trump's own words betrayed his intentions. He downplayed the release before it even happened, warning that people would never be satisfied. He framed anyone still demanding answers as radical left lunatics or troublemakers. Think about that for a second. Trump, the man who built his rise on channeling outrage, suddenly dismissed the outrage. Why? Why now? Candace Owens said it best. MAGA revolted against Trump, and they won. This wasn't about Democrats. This wasn't about the mainstream media. This was about Trump's own base saying, "We don't trust you on this one." For years, Trump has painted Epstein as a Democrat hoax, hoping that was enough to make his supporters bow their heads and move on. But Owens reminded people that blind loyalty isn't strength. It's weakness. And for the first time, Trump felt the ground shift beneath him. So what is the Epstein connection that makes Trump so uncomfortable? That's the heart of this story. Trump has always walked a careful line around Jeffrey Epstein. Yes, he famously said years ago that he kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. Yes, he insists he never visited Epstein's island. But the record shows Trump flew on Epstein's private jet multiple times, at least 7 flights between Palm Beach and Teterboro. Sure, that doesn't prove anything criminal, but it proves proximity. It proves access. And when Trump was pressed on releasing the full Epstein client list, he always hesitated. He would pivot, he would stall, and sometimes, like in his Lex Fridman interview, he would almost nervously laugh it off. Owens noticed. So did millions of others. The timeline is suspicious. In 1995, Trump is last recorded on Epstein's jet. Just 1 year later, he buys the Miss Universe pageant, an industry Epstein was known to be circling. Beauty pageants, modeling agencies, casting calls, all environments where Epstein injected money to gain access to young women. Candace Owens connected the dots. What if Epstein saw Trump's pageants the same way he saw MC2 modeling in Paris or his fake Victoria's Secret casting? What if Trump's empire intersected with Epstein's world more deeply than Trump wants anyone to see? Owens didn't say Trump was guilty of trafficking, but she pointed out the uncomfortable overlap. And in politics, perception is often as dangerous as reality. Here's where it gets really interesting. Trump didn't just order the files unsealed. He already primed his base to be disappointed. Owens highlighted his Truth Social post where he basically admitted, even if this all comes out, it won't be enough. That is classic damage control. He knows the files will be slim, carefully redacted, and ultimately useless. He knows his critics will say it was a show trial, designed to pacify the public without ever revealing the powerful names that Epstein really served. And yet, Trump still went through the motions. Why? Because he's caught in the middle. If he refuses transparency, his base revolts. If he pretends to offer transparency, the establishment keeps protecting the secrets. Either way, the truth remains hidden, and Trump stays safe. At least, that's the calculation. But Owens ripped that calculation apart. She said, Trump is flat out playing games. And she's right. Trump is using the same trick he's always accused the media of using, treating his base like they're too dumb to know better. Tell them you're unsealing files, give them nothing of substance, and then call anyone who complains a troublemaker. It's manipulation 101. But this time, the manipulation didn't work. MAGA didn't take the bait. They demanded answers. They demanded the truth. And Owens stood as the voice saying, "You can't gaslight us anymore." Let's not forget the promises Trump once made. He said he would declassify the JFK files. He said he would declassify the Epstein files. He said he would drain the swamp and expose the corruption. But time after time, those promises faded into excuses. The JFK files remain mostly hidden. The Epstein files are a joke. And the swamp? It's still thriving, only now with Trump sometimes shaking hands with the very neocons he once swore to fight. Candace Owens called this out directly. Trump is no longer listening to his base. He's surrounded by establishment voices telling him what he wants to hear, keeping him in a bubble, and convincing him that loyalty is guaranteed. Owens is warning him, it's not. The bigger issue is this: what is Trump afraid of? If he truly has nothing to hide, then why hesitate? Why hedge? Why condition his base to expect nothing? The Epstein case is not just about one man's crimes, it's about a system of protection for the powerful. Billionaires, politicians, royalty, Hollywood stars, all potentially compromised. If Trump fully exposed Epstein's network, he wouldn't just be exposing Democrats. He'd be exposing Republicans, foreign allies, and maybe even names close to his own orbit, maybe even his own family. Jared Kushner's connections to Israel, Ivanka's ties to elite circles, Trump's own history in the world of pageantry, all of it could invite scrutiny. And scrutiny is the one thing Trump hates most. Candace Owens has essentially broken the unspoken rule. Don't question Trump from the right. For years, conservative commentators built their careers defending him. They dismissed every scandal as fake news. They told the base to never doubt the leader. But Owens flipped the script. She said, no, loyalty is earned, and Trump is not above the truth. That's why this moment matters, because if even Candace Owens, one of the most loyal firebrands on the right, is saying Trump has lost control of his base, then the illusion of invincibility is gone. And Trump knows it. That's why his responses feel defensive, even desperate. He keeps pointing to polls. He keeps saying, MAGA forever. He keeps trying to shift the narrative to other distractions. The Idaho murder case, Hunter Biden, Obama's dossier. But none of that erases the central question. Why is he so afraid of transparency on Epstein? Owens keeps dragging the conversation back there, and Trump keeps squirming. It's a battle he can't win, because silence only fuels suspicion. We need to understand how big this break really is. MAGA was supposed to be Trump's cult. That's how the media described it. A personality-driven movement where the leader could do no wrong. But Owens proved it's bigger than Trump. MAGA is values-driven, not personality-driven. Protect the children, expose the corruption, end the endless wars. That's what the base wants. Trump was simply the vessel. But if the vessel cracks, the movement will continue without him. That's the nightmare scenario for Trump, being replaced by his own revolution. Candace Owens has positioned herself as the truth teller in this fight. She's not afraid to take heat. She's not afraid to call Trump out. And in doing so, she's given millions of conservatives permission to ask the same questions. That's why this is such a seismic shift. Trump's greatest weapon was fear. Fear of losing his base, fear of being attacked if you criticized him. But Owens just proved that you can survive criticizing Trump. You can thrive doing it. And that might open the floodgates for others. The cracks are showing, the questions are growing louder. And the man who once defined the movement now finds himself cornered by it. Candace Owens exposed more than Trump's hesitation. She exposed his vulnerability. And once the base sees weakness, they never unsee it. Trump may still think he's the king of MAGA, but the truth is clear. He no longer controls the throne. So, as the Epstein files remain shrouded in secrecy, and as Trump continues to dance around transparency, one question echoes louder than ever before. The same question Candace Owens asked: what is Donald Trump hiding?